Hello everybody, welcome to F1 Grandstand. I'm Tony Craig, and if you are an F1 fan, you are in the right place. Hit the subscribe button, join the community and get involved. Now, what has been happening in Spa today? I'm going to cover the sprint race and the race qualifying, and I'm going to tell you about today's biggest story, including the full lowdown, well, of one of Lewis Hamilton's worst days in Formula One. But first, let's get into the sprint race before I get into that. So, winner of the sprint race was Max Verstappen. Oscar finished in second, even though he qualified in pole, and Lando came in third. Now, I want to give a special mention to Pierre Gasly. He qualified in 8th place in the Alpine. He managed to get the Alpine performing better than it's performed all season. Remember, Pierre Gasly is the only driver to score points for Alpine this season. He's got them 19 points, and he looked like he was going to get points today again in the sprint race. Unfortunately, the problem with the car, he couldn't start the race. So the sprint race just became a little bit of extra testing, and he did not finish, obviously. Started late, 2 laps into the race, did some testing and finished. But it's such a shame because Gasly really deserved a good run at some points, I think, in the sprint. But let's talk about Max. Max was quite clever, actually, at the start of this race. He was obviously starting in P2. He started the race with a reduced downforce wing, and that gave him the jump on Piastri, and it worked so well for him because he led the race from start to finish. Now, on the not so good news, Lewis, well, his sprint qualifying position was 18th due to a spin in the Ferrari in SQ1. And he only finished 16th in the sprint race. I'm going to go into more detail about Lewis Hamilton's terrible day in just a minute, so don't go anywhere. And I also want to give a special mention to Carlos Sainz, because Sainz, he put that Williams on P6 in qualifying, and he held that position in the race. So he got himself 3 points. I do like to see that. Well done, Carlos. I'm interested to see how he's going to do in the race tomorrow. So the final positions are a quick rundown. Max Verstappen first, Oscar Piastri second, Lando Norris third, Leclerc came fourth, Ocon, well done Ocon, he got fifth, Carlos Sainz in 6th, Behrman scored points for Haas, and the final point scorer was Hadjar for the Racing Bulls, managed to get himself a point. Now, let's get into the bigger stories from the Belgian GP qualifying. Now, the top story is Lewis Hamilton. Wow. Where do we start? So, as you know, the Ferraris had an upgrade on the car for this race. They have new rear suspension that they tested on a filming day in Mugello last week. The engineers said, oh, it's going to be worth a tenth. It's a decent upgrade. Hamilton went on record speaking to a journalist this week saying he can't tell any difference with the car. It basically still feels like a bag of spanners. Okay. His performance in the sprint shows that maybe he was right. Until we get to qualifying today for the main race. So Hamilton and Leclerc are both running this new suspension. Let's talk about Hamilton first. He put that car out in Q1. He qualified P16, okay? He did put a lap in, which would have put him P7 in Q1, but he was out of the track limits. So he lost his P7 time. Now, you heard an exchange between Riccardo Adami, which is Hamilton's race engineer, after he was penalised for the track limits offence, and it was frosty. But what do you expect? Hamilton all week has been saying the car's crap, the new upgrades have done nothing. He even after his debacle in his sprint qualifying yesterday, where he then went on to write an email to engineering team listing all the things wrong with the car and what he was expecting to be changed. Well, it gets worse for Hamilton, because since he publicly has done all of this, slated the new rear suspension, said the upgrades are crap, well, cut to Charles Leclerc, who puts the Ferrari on P3 in qualifying and says the new rear suspension has improved the car. So how can we have a situation where two drivers are experiencing the same Ferrari so differently? Who's looking good here and who's not looking good? Hamilton putting the car on P16 and Leclerc putting the car on the second row, P3. Hamilton did go on record after qualifying apologising to the team for his lap where he was out of the track limits and for his poor performance. But how does he make up for publicly saying to the entire Ferrari garage and the world that these new upgrades are crap and the car is still a bag of spanners? And then you got Leclerc saying actually these upgrades have helped him and the car does feel better, and proving it by putting it on P3. Discuss it. Tell me what you think. Who's right, who's wrong? What is the truth of this situation? Is Hamilton out of touch? Is he just causing huge waves in his new team? What do you think is going on in that garage? Tell me your thoughts in the live chat and the comments, because I'm interested to know how you are interpreting what is going on at Ferrari and how both of those drivers are experiencing the car in such a different way. I don't know what's going to happen, and I also don't know what can Hamilton do from P16 in the race tomorrow. Leclerc has got a chance of a podium. And you know what the golden rule in Formula One is if you're a driver. You have to beat your teammate because you are using the same kit. You are getting judged. One guy's getting the most out of the car, another guy's bitching and moaning. I don't know. This story is going to go on and on this weekend. Tell me what you think in the chat window, because I very much want to know what you think about it. But on a more positive story, this is, I think, a story involving two team members. But first of all, Yuki. Okay, he had a terrible day in FP1 and the sprint qualifying. The car was awful. Where did he finish? Sprint qualifying, he only managed 12th when Max was P2. And he finished the sprint race in 11th. So no points, not great. It then came out in an interview after the sprint qualifying that Max had upgrades on his car, which was an upgraded floor that they hadn't put on Yuki's car. Obviously, you're thinking probably the same as me. Well, could it make a difference? Is he just sort of bitching and moaning? But I do believe both cars should have had the upgrade. Anyway, the engineers worked last night. They upgraded Yuki's car with the upgraded floor. So, cut to Yuki going into quali. He only goes and puts that Red Bull on P7, and he has not been in Q3 for 7 races. So we have seen a huge improvement in Yuki's performance and that car's performance. Now, we all know Yuki's in a really tough spot right now. A document was leaked this week, which basically said Yuki is out. I did a video on it this week saying Yuki's career at Red Bull is done. It's going to be the driver lineup if Max stays is going to be Max, and Hadjar in the Red Bull, Lawson and Lindblad in the Racing Bulls car. And Yuki's going to be out. And who was he going to drive for? However, this is the second part to the story. Obviously, Horner is gone. Laurent Mekies is in. And this is Laurent Mekies' first GP in charge at Red Bull. Him and Yuki go back a long way. They know each other inside out. Mekies has managed Yuki when Yuki was in the sister team. Okay? And now we see a marked improvement in Yuki's performance today. Could that be because Laurent Mekies' influence on Yuki is taking hold? New management, new structure, new upgrade for Yuki. We don't know those conversations that have been going on, but I should imagine Mekies has gone in, put his arm around him, given him some confidence, and made the engineers work last night to ensure he got the upgrade on his car, the same as Max. And now we see a marked improvement in Yuki's performance in qualifying today. But what can he do in the race from P7? You got to remember, Max is only in P4. The gap, I think, was only 0.3, and we have seen Yuki 0.9 behind Max and worse. So big congratulations. And I think Laurent Mekies must have had something to do with that. So big congratulations to Yuki. I'm excited to see what you can do from P7 on the grid tomorrow. But you do deserve the recognition. I have been giving you a hard time all week, but credit where it's due. That is an improved performance, and you are really driving for your Formula One career here. This is your window, Yuki, as you know. The next 12 races is your window to try and secure a seat, whether it's at Red Bull, which I thought was highly unlikely, or another manufacturer on the grid. So Yuki, well done, P7, well done. And back to a story which is not so great. So, Aston Martin, they promised us a major component for Spa, a major upgrade. And what's worse is their last major upgrade of the season, which, to be fair, most teams are in the same position with that. We're halfway through the season. Any major upgrades are going to happen between now and the next race. After that, no more upgrades. So Andy Cowell said, no more upgrades, but this one matters. It's a major component upgrade. Here's the thing. In qualifying today, Lance and Fernando were bottom. P19 and P20. P19 for Alonso, P20 for Stroll. So what has gone on? I need to know. There is nothing worse than bringing your last major upgrade for the season and making the cars worse. Turning them into an absolute bag of spanners. Because at Silverstone, the cars were better. They've gone backwards. How can we be in a position where the cars have gone backwards? No doubt those engineers will be working right now as I'm talking to you, working through the night to try and get some race pace out of these new upgrades. And they were so cagey about what these upgrades are. All we got was major component upgrades. Well, that major component has made the car worse. Normally we like to blame Lance Stroll maybe, but Alonso and Stroll both in the bottom two positions. So I don't know what they can do tomorrow. I don't know what those engineers can do tonight to try and get some race pace into that Aston Martin, but we will find out tomorrow. As for the rest, usual, McLaren looking dominant. Congratulations to Lando on pipping Oscar to pole position. You've got to say that McLaren are looking unbeatable in race pace. They are looking unbeatable. It's really going to be a challenge for the podium. Who's going to make the podium? Are we going to see Max, or are we going to see Leclerc tomorrow? But McLaren look dominant. Both cars are running the new floor upgrade, which is an unexpected upgrade from a test from FP1 at Silverstone. It just turned out that that test proved that that floor upgrade is a good upgrade. So both cars are running that. Lando, here's where it gets interesting. Lando this week was offered a new suspension upgrade. Now, McLaren say it's not an upgrade, it's an alternative. Lando is running that alternative suspension, and look at that, he gets P1 in qualifying. Now, Oscar Piastri chose to stick with the old suspension setup, had the new floor, old suspension setup, and he was dominant yesterday, but today we saw Lando Norris taking P1 in qualifying. Could that new suspension be, have they got it dialed in for qualifying today? Do you think that Oscar perhaps should have gone with the revised suspension? So that's the two differences in those McLaren cars. But they are dominant. They are so far ahead, still bringing upgrades, still developing that car for now. But after this weekend, I think all focus for all teams is going to be on the 2026 package. But it does make for an exciting race. Will the McLarens race each other? According to Zach, they are racing until they're not. He won't let them take each other out, that's for sure. He will not let them crash into each other, but they are racing. These are racing drivers. Either one of them can win the Drivers' Championship. So it should make for a very, very exciting Belgian Grand Prix race tomorrow. So please join me for that race, for the Belgium GP race watch along at 2 o'clock tomorrow. We can watch the action live as it happens together, but hit the like button, subscribe and the bell, hit the notification button for the live watch along tomorrow, and I will see you all at 2 p.m. Get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow should be a belter.